Well, thanks guys for checking out our video. I hope you bought a can of green steam. We've put together some hints and tips just to sort of try and help you pull that really perfect shot of espresso. Firstly, the can, the green steam. This is our new design. It's our blend that we've had for years. It's roasted exclusively for us. It's triple certified, so it's organic, fair trade and rainforest light certified, and we've put them in these funky tins. It's actually got a resealable top, so you pop open, you've got lovely fresh coffee inside, and then you can pop the lid back on to keep it nice, sealed and fresh. No more having that bag of coffee, putting that closed peg on top. You can also refill these tins in the coffee shop and on the coffee van, and soon they're going to be available to buy online. I'm going to crack in and try and give you some sort of hints and tips to help you pull that, perfect, beautiful shot of espresso. So number one, the cleanliness of your machine will directly affect the taste of your coffee. So this is the group handle. Quite often you'll get bits of coffee sort of stuck in here after the last coffee. You get bits of coffee on here. This all gets up into the element and it can really start to get this sort of burnt, bitter taste. You can have the best coffee in the world, the best barista in the world, but if you're not cleaning this machine after each espresso, flushing it through, backwashing it, is really going to affect the taste of your coffee. So cleanliness is so important. So every coffee you grind, make sure your group handle is nice and clean before you start pulling your shot. Number two, the blend you choose and the freshness of your coffee. Well, you've got green steam, you can't do any better than that. And then we've also got this lovely resealable lid on there, so you're going to keep your coffee super fresh. 2 or 3 weeks, your coffee is going to be absolutely cracking for. After that, it will start to drop off a little bit. So that's why we recommend using the smaller batches of coffee. Come into your local coffee shop and we can do you refills in here at a discounted rate, and we can refill your coffee straight back into your tin. Number three, the grind. Is it correctly adjusted for a 25-second extraction? So the extraction time is the amount of time it takes for the water to pull through the ground coffee. And we're looking for an extraction time of around 20 to 30 seconds. If we grind our coffee beans and the extraction happens too quickly, the water will come rushing through. It won't be in contact with the ground coffee for long enough, and you'll get this very sort of weak, watery, thin shot of espresso. So you've got this beautiful coffee, you've ground it too coarse. The water, there's not enough resistance there, and the water from the machine will go straight through that really sort of ground coffee. So you need to go a bit finer. But if you go too extreme, if you go too fine, the water won't be able to get through, and you'll get an over-extracted coffee. If it goes over 30 seconds, 35, 40 seconds, you'll get this sort of quite bitter tasting over-extracted coffee. So it's really important to dial your grinder in, and the best way to do it is to time your shot of espresso. So I'm going to put a shot of espresso. Our coffee machine is preset to deliver 8 grams of coffee. And what we need to do is really control the variables on this shot of espresso. If we have variable amounts of coffee going in each time, it's going to affect that shot of espresso. So our machine doses 8 grams of coffee every single time, and that is for a single shot. If you're using a double shot, you can double it and you can use 16 grams of coffee, but around about 8 grams is spot on for a single shot. We're then going to tamp it. You can get some bits of coffee just sort of around the top here. Just rub those off. Those are the bits that get into the machine and can really make that burnt sort of coffee taste. So we get rid of those, we give it a nice little shake, and we've got to get it sort of quite flat, like so, and then we're going to give it a nice even tamp. And we're tamping with about 20 to 40 pounds of pressure. But the most important thing is just a nice flat even tamp, and then a little twist at the end, and that just rounds it off. And if you have a little look at it, if you see a barista in a coffee shop eyeing up their coffee, or they're putting some effort into it, so that's cracking. Any little bits, just get off, have a little look at it. What you don't want is any sort of cracks. Any cracks, the water's coming through the espresso machine at 9 bars of pressure. So if there's any cracks in here, the water will actually find those cracks and will come through. It'll always get through the easiest sort of point of access through your ground coffee. And secondly, if your coffee is sloping any side, if you've got more coffee one side and less coffee on the other side, the water, again, it will always find the path of least resistance. It will go through the area where there's not much coffee. So in a nice, even, flat tamp. Then we pop it in. We're going to pour a shot of espresso straight into here. Grab the timer, press the button, and we start the timer from the time that we press the button, because that is when the water comes into contact with the shot of espresso. And I'll try and do a video, showing the extraction a bit closer up. We're on to 14, 15 seconds or so. So we're looking for this window of around 20 to 30 seconds for this extraction time. Time is still going. We're starting to get the espresso starting to go through that blonding effect now. Stopped. 27 seconds, so very, very happy with that. We're looking for about 25 seconds. Very difficult to get it 25 every single time. But let's have a look at this espresso. You should have a lovely rich crema on your espresso. Really, really important. If you haven't got a nice rich crema on there, something's gone wrong. So that is a lovely shot of espresso that we've poured there. A few more tips. Is the group handle clean? So we've talked about that, cleaning the group handle. The water temperature. These espresso machines, there's a few things that they do that's sort of quite different and quite unique about an espresso machine. The big one is the pressure it produces. So it produces 9 bars of pressure. So when water comes out of your tap, it comes through around 2 or 3 bars of pressure. So 9 bars of pressure is an awful amount of pressure. And that's what allows us to grind this coffee very, very fine. And then this 9 bars of pressure can force water through this very finely ground coffee, and we get this extraction time, and it'll extract a lot quicker than your standard filter coffee. A filter coffee will take 2-3 minutes or so. The espresso extraction is around about this sort of 25-second window. We've got 20 to 30 seconds for it to come through in. Secondly is the temperature. And we're looking for the temperature to be about 90 degrees. And you might have heard of making a coffee, you boil the kettle and you leave it for a couple of minutes. That's trying to get this temperature down to about 90 degrees, because that is the optimum temperature. Men in white coats, they've decided 90 degrees is the optimum temperature for brewing a shot of espresso. You might go somewhere and they could be brewing at 89.5, 91.2. That's getting very, very technical. 90 degrees is about spot on. So you need to ensure that your machine is producing water around about 90 degrees. You check your pump pressure, so it should be 9 bars. We've got a gauge on here which shows us our pump pressure. So you really want to keep an eye on that. And as I said before, keeping an eye on these variables. So 8 grams of coffee, 9 bars of pressure, extraction time 20 to 30 seconds with about 9 bars of pressure coming through. If you keep on top of all those things, you should get a beautiful, cracking espresso. Hope you enjoy.